There is a very dangerous misunderstanding about the nature of love that is keeping a lot of men stuck in this no man's land of loneliness and despair. The basic idea is that there are two kinds of love. There is unconditional love and there is conditional love. Unconditional love is what you receive as a child, or what you hopefully received as a child. It's not based on anything that you do. It's unconditional. The love you receive as an adult from somebody else is conditional on your behavior. This love is because of who you are, not what you do. This love is what you do, not who you are, unless what you do remains consistent over several years and there's an association between what you do and who you are. But this can't start off as who you are. It can only start off as what you do. When you're a kid, you are loved because of who you are, because that's genetically programmed into your parents. If you have kids, you know this feeling. You have a certain mindset about life, about the world, about your place in the world. But then you have a kid, and that changes everything. And you suddenly see your kid as the most important person in the world. And as a child, receiving this feels fantastic because you don't have to do anything. It's unconditional. It's programmed in by genetics. Otherwise, we would have gone extinct a long, long time ago. But as an adult, you have to create relationships with people. You have to provide something for them, and in response, you feel reciprocal love in response. This has been the natural cycle of life since the dawn of time. You start off as a child. You receive unconditional love as a child. That unconditional love helps you to grow up and transition into an adult. And as you transition into an adult, you leave behind the idea of unconditional love and you step into the idea of conditional love, where you have to produce something, where you have to give value to somebody else, and in exchange, you receive that reciprocal love. This process is even described in the Old Testament in the book of Genesis somewhere. It says something along the lines of, every man eventually leaves his family and cleaves to his wife. This describes the natural process. But a lot of men today are getting stuck in this middle part. They're not quite leaving behind the idea of unconditional love, and they're not quite stepping into the realm of conditional love. And this is even more complicated because everybody as children don't receive 100% pure conditional love. We receive a lot of rejection as children. Everybody receives a lot of rejection as children. This is the origin story of social anxiety. You're a little kid, you're 6 months old, you scream for attention. Sometimes you get attention. Sometimes you get really positive, loving attention. Sometimes you get really angry attention. Sometimes you get no attention. And so we have this kind of social anxiety as our base point before we even develop conscious awareness. So if you're in this no man's land transition, you have this kind of subconscious longing for the completeness of this unconditional love that you never got. But the mistake is to think you can get this from another woman that is an adult that doesn't know you. If you walk into a relationship and from the get-go, you're hoping that she can fill the holes in your soul, so to speak, by giving you unconditional love, for loving you for who you are, that will never happen. If you have this deep longing for unconditional love and you bring that into your adult life and you have that as a subconscious expectation from modern women, that is something that doesn't exist. The only way people in the world can love you, adults can love you, is by your behavior, by how you provide for them. You have to make the transition into being a productive adult and provide something for somebody else and then receive reciprocal love in exchange for that. This means you need to leave behind the idea of unconditional love. You need to leave behind the idea of being loved for who you are. That is a childish notion. That is an adolescent notion. As an adult, you need to embrace the idea of being loved for what you do, being loved for what you provide to people, being loved as a provider, not just of financial means, but of an emotional support, mutual compatibility, and all kinds of other things. It is your job as an adult to get out into the world and sort through all the people, to find somebody that you're compatible with that is willing to reciprocate because of what you're willing to give to them. That is not easy, but that is your purpose, to find somebody who which you can share a life with. And that requires that you embrace the reciprocal, conditional nature of adult love. But when you embrace the reciprocal nature of love, you will become much more attractive, because there's another key difference between these two. Unconditional love is something that is completely out of your control. You cannot control when they come to take care of you. You cannot control when they don't come to take care of you. So it feels like you're trying to get something, but you're not in control, which is why it feels so terrible to long for something and have no control over that at the same time. It's like you're waiting for the world to finally notice you and give you the love you think you deserve, but that can't happen because you have to create it yourself. That's the flip side of conditional love. You have total control. You have total agency over whether you receive that from somebody else or not. You have total control over how you behave around other people, about how you talk to other people, about what kind of value you give to other people. And you have total control over the value you build continuously within yourself, so you can provide more value to other people and hopefully find somebody that is a good match. Now, what kind of value should you build within yourself? Build a solid masculine frame. Make sure you have solid boundaries. Have an ambition for your life. Have decent communication skills, decent conversational skills. Because when you embrace the idea of reciprocal conditional love, you will become much more confident, much more aware and appreciating of your own agency. And people that appreciate your own agency are much more attractive. Anybody can do this. You can do this because this is built into your genes. This is how humans have survived for the past thousands of years, by making the transition from because you can understand this, because you know how to do this intuitively, because you remember how to do this intuitively, because you have natural social skills built into you. This is just doing something that's already familiar to you. It's much better to leave behind and step into. The other day I was listening to a podcast about relationships, and they had some expert on there, and she was saying that guys that walk the earth filled with their own agency, feeling totally in control of what they create in life, are massively attractive. But guys that walk the earth with this hole inside of them, hoping somebody else will fill that hole with unconditional love for who they are not very attractive at all. So when you leave this world behind and step into this world, you will become much more attractive. And the more you embrace this idea, the more you can start to feel a sense of agency over your own conversational skills. The more you can start to feel a sense of agency over how you view relationships as much more subconsciously transactional and reciprocal and conditional. And when you embrace the conditional nature of life, you can fully express your value to other, your masculine frame to other, your boundaries to others, your scarcity to others. Any recent ideas you've had about how to create a modern relationship are much more successful, will be much more successful once you leave behind the childish notion of unconditional love, of being loved for who you are, and step into your frame of doing things that will create love as a reciprocation without any kind of conscious awareness, which means they will come automatically. You can control the kind of love you get. You have total control. Few other ideas are as powerful for your frame as understanding the nature of reciprocal love and your agency in being able to create reciprocal love whenever you want to, whenever you need to, whenever you have an idea to do so. The more you embrace this, the more you embrace modern reciprocal love, the more you understand the nature of the two kinds of love, the more you leave this love behind and step into this kind of love, the more naturally you can expand and strengthen your masculine frame and create real relationships with real people. It takes effort. It takes work. It's a continuous work in progress. But you have total control. You have total control over your frame. You have total control over who you talk to, who you decide to accept or reject. the value you give to other. Everything is in your control. So leave behind the idea of unconditional love and step into the idea of conditional reciprocal love. And this will make you feel full of your agency. It will strengthen your frame, and it will make it much easier for you to find what you're looking for. If you'd like to learn more about how to do this, about how to build your masculine frame, check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.